Welcome to the Top Dog Mindset Podcast, where we unlock the secrets of running a successful dog training business. I'm your host, Kevin, joined by my co-host, Angel. Together, we bring you expert insights, inspiring stories, and practical tips. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, we're here to provide you with the necessary information to build a thriving dog training company. So relax, join us with a cup of coffee as we explore the Top Dog Mindset Podcast.
Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of the Top Dog Mindset Podcast. Kevin and Angel here with another episode for you guys. And Merry almost Christmas, happy holidays, depending on what you celebrate. Angel, I see that you have your tree up today. How'd that go for you guys?
Well, my kids did most of the work. I put on a few ornaments. That's how it's been for the last few years. They love it, and so it just works out for me.
And that's a fake tree, right?
It is a fake tree. It's most
I'm not
convenient.
trying to expose you or anything like that.
I would love to
person.
love to get a real tree. I think I would really like the smell in my house, but the upkeep, I don't know.
Yeah. Did you grow up with a real tree or a fake tree?
A fake tree in my home. I had family members that had real trees, but I actually, for a little bit, had kind of a fear because my aunt and uncle had a real tree. My uncle was a firefighter, so he was very he talked a lot about how they can start fires. So he was very good at taking care of his. And so ever since then, I'm like, I don't want a real tree because I feel like it's going to burn my house down. And I feel like that's mostly not the case, but that's just automatically what I think of. It's just like a giant fire hazard in my living room.
Yeah. What's the protocol? I guess keeping just a lot of water in the base and then maybe misting your tree every once in a while or something.
I guess so. I have a lot of plants in my house though, so I think I'd be good at keeping up with misting it. I do have a mister.
Can you and I hate to even ask this question. This is it's going to seem really stupid, but can you just go to Home Depot in Texas and just go get a tree?
Like a real tree?
Yeah. Where would you get a
know.
real tree?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know where they would grow them.
That's my point. Are they shipping them in from different parts of the country all the way down to the US Mexico border? What are they doing here?
I would imagine they are. But I haven't when I was in North Carolina, you could just drive down the road and see random stops of where you could just stop to get a tree or at least a sign for a farm that you could go to.
Right.
Definitely not the case down here. So I don't actually know where people would get their real trees from.
Yeah. And I was going to say you're a colored lights person, but now it's changing back and forth.
I'm not a colored lights person. My kids are. So we compromise and we got lights that go back and forth.
Okay. How about tinsel? How about tinsel and candy canes?
No.
You're a purist?
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's just too much for me. I need it simple. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of having a tree up to begin with. So yeah, as simple as
what
possible.
Is that all about? What are you, Grinch?
No, I love Christmas, but it's just I don't know. I don't know what it is, honestly. It's there's some people who for each season or each holiday, they'll just go all out, bring out all the decor for this holiday and then put it away and then bring out all the decor for the next holiday. I just want my house to just be decorated the same year round. I don't want all this extra work.
Yeah. Well, you curated a serious vibe in there. I can relate in the sense of having young kids too. It's really nice when your house looks like the way you want your house to look like instead of a house that's run by a 3-year-old with just toys everywhere, stuff like that,
Yeah. And I mean, it's hard. Obviously, I can relate because my kids were that age at one point, but it just takes so much work just to keep it up. But I will say just one more thing before we wrap up this whole Christmas tree conversation is since moving to Texas, I have actually enjoyed decorating for Christmas.
Interesting. What else have you done?
Other stuff not a whole lot, but a lot more in my house than I have over the years before I moved. Even having a wreath on my front door. Didn't used to do that. But yeah, once I started breaking out some of the little bit of decor that I had, I started actually enjoying it. So maybe just actually enjoying where I'm at and being by family that I used to have big traditions with and all that kind of stuff makes a difference.
Yeah, it's good to like where you live,
Yeah. Very important to where you live.
Yeah. Well, kind of just piggybacking off of that, it's funny because I have people ask me from time to time, I want to move my business. Do you think this would be a good market to be in? And I can tell people are usually kind of thrown off when I ask the question of are you going to be happy when you're going to be there?
Mhm.
because, you can make decisions in life that are solely off of business and, what is the best market to be in and what's the least competitive, but has the most people and qualified dog owners and stuff like that. And I'm not saying don't weigh that in, but it's like, are you going to be happy if your entire family lives in California and you need to move to some random city in New England? Like you got to move to Providence, Rhode Island or something like that. Like, are you going to actually be happy? And are you actually going to be as efficient in your business if you're not, very happy in the place that you live? So I think that's always an interesting conversation that I have with people whenever they're like looking to move or make a change in their life and their business.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're moving like strictly for business because you feel like it's a good market to move into, or whatever the reason is, business related, like it's going to feel good in the beginning, but then once like the dust starts to settle and you don't really like have anyone around, maybe you don't have a community, like that's going to, I feel like, start to affect you. And what affects you personally and mentally and emotionally and all of that is going to start affecting the business.
Exactly. Yes. Now, Angel, you had a topic for today lined up that I know you're really excited to talk about. So why don't you tell everyone about that and kind of what's on your mind? And you said that been hearing this from a lot of clients. So what exactly is this?
Yeah. So, like I said, this is a conversation that I've been having with clients over and over again, specifically because of this time of year being around the holidays. We're just like, and it's kind of been like right before Thanksgiving, too. Like right before Thanksgiving. Now we are in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's a weird time for dog trainers, dog training business owners. So, yeah, this has been a very common conversation that we're having. And it has to do with basically just like realizing how differently you need to nurture the leads that are coming in. And I know that we've talked about this a lot on a lot of different episodes, but I feel like in different ways, talking about like how there's like seasonal changes in your business, whether that is an actual season or a holiday or some big political event going on or something like that. Like there's always going to be something in business that has to, or that makes you need to change your offer essentially. But what I'm more specifically talking about is nurturing the actual leads that have already come in. So, leads come in, maybe they are just randomly thinking on a Wednesday about how crappy their dog's behavior is. Let me reach out to some trainers. And then you start talking to them. And then it turns into like, oh, I just kind of wanted to get some prices and just kind of like see what's out there kind of thing. And granted, that is something that people hear a lot throughout the year. People are annoyed by it. I get it because they're price shoppers. But even more so around the holiday, like it's going to be more common to hear that because there's so much going on. People are spending so much money with just like buying Christmas gifts or having to travel or just simply not having the time to dedicate towards training because they're going to be traveling a lot and all that kind of stuff. So it's just a matter of nurturing them differently and kind of changing your mindset on, oh, I got 6 leads this week. I need to sell them all this week. Or like, oh, I didn't sell them. All of a sudden, like my business is going downhill. Like instead of having that mindset, think of, I got all of these leads. Let me figure out how I can nurture them as best as possible to have them sign up within the next couple of months because sometimes it does take weeks or months, especially around this time of year. So again, like you're always going to need to change your offer and change kind of like how you're presenting things to people, but in this case, it's like nurturing specifically for like the leads that have already come in that are waiting in your pipeline.
For sure. Yeah. What I was thinking about while you were talking there is offers and discounts and seasonal promotions work incredibly well. This is exactly why companies like Walmart and Amazon never miss an opportunity to run them. So much. I'll never forget, years ago, I owned a e-commerce brand where I sold a lot of stuff on like Amazon and Shopify and stuff like that. And was shocking at what a significant portion of revenue for that company was done just on certain days of the year, like Black Friday or Cyber Monday or Prime Week and stuff like that. So the reason for that is because these companies know, like, if we market this properly, then it'll help us move more product. Not to go on a tangent here, but I was thinking about this the other day too. how all these award shows that exist in Hollywood, like the Oscars and the Emmys, not the Tonys. I think the Tonys are Tonys are like Broadway, I think, aren't they? You're not sure? Okay. I'm the only one who knows of the Tonys. But the Oscars, they created those award shows to sell more movies. Like it's like the
Mm.
greatest promotion in the world where it's like, hey, we have these movies that are created throughout the year and then they kind of let people move on and they go and they start focusing on the newer movies that come out and stuff like that. But if we have this award show where we say best actor or best actress was in this movie or best film is this movie, then all of a sudden people go back and watch those movies, you know? So it was all
Mhm.
just created as a marketing, yeah, just like a marketing funnel to get people to watch more movies. And so it's no different with your business. If you just proceed throughout the year just as you normally do and say like, hey, we offer this basic obedience program. We offer this in intermediate and advanced and an on leash and an off leash and a behavior modification program. You can still make sales, but the people that I see do very, very well during the holidays, because keep in mind, there's people that do extremely well and sell a ton of dog training. And then there's people that struggle and they're like, no one wants to buy. Everyone has all their money tied up in Christmas gifts and all that stuff. But the people that I see do extremely well are the ones that use the season to their advantage. So creating programs that speak specifically to that time of year, you know? Like you've referred to stuff as like a holiday readiness program and stuff like that. And I even had this idea of when you were talking before of, you could have a promotion where you talk about gifting a well-trained dog to your husband or to your wife or to your son or to your daughter or to a friend and anybody, like to yourself, right? And yeah, you could market it that way. It's like, you know, gift, a loved one in your life the greatest gift of all, and that's like the perfect relationship with man's best friend type of deal. I'd have to like wordsmith that a little bit better, but like that's the general idea of it. And I think you'd be surprised as to how well that does, because a lot of people wouldn't necessarily put two and two together that you could, look at it as like a gift for yourself or as a Christmas gift for your significant other or spouse to get the dog trained. They just think it's something, it's just like a service that you would buy. But if it's all about how you position it and how you market it.
At that time that it was purchased, it wasn't, necessarily something that we were looking for, or maybe might have been in a position where you're like, I don't know if I can financially afford this right now, but the deal was just too good to pass up.
Right.
Like some people, say for example, like buying a Christmas gift, like let's say someone buys their kid like a PS5 or something like that 6 months before Christmas, all because they came across a crazy deal. And it's like we're way ahead of Christmas, maybe even more than 6 months, because I know people who actually start Christmas shopping that early. So let's just say like a random month to start going Christmas shopping, right? You find like a crazy deal and it's like, why not? Why wouldn't I buy that right now since I'm already planning on getting that in the future? Or even like I think we've talked about this before where I've like done like a gym membership during a time when I wasn't necessarily planning on it because my previous one was not finished yet, but they just offered me this crazy deal and I'm like I would literally be dumb if I didn't take advantage of this.
Right.
So I feel like we've all been in that position. But yeah, like you said, like it's just about the way that like you're wording it and kind of like putting it in their head. Like maybe it's not something you ever thought of purchasing like as a gift for your spouse or something like that. But when it's worded that way, then all of a sudden they start thinking of all of these things like, okay, yeah, maybe this is a huge stressor in our household. Maybe this is something that we had been talking about before. Maybe, my husband does enjoy taking our dog on walks, but our dog sometimes gets reactive. This would actually be a good Christmas gift. So again, I think like everyone can relate in some way, regardless of like the service or the good or whatever of spending money on something where maybe you don't feel like it was necessarily the time right now, but it was just too good of a deal to pass up.
Yeah. I mean, you could even do something as simple as, selling $50 gift certificates for like a free first lesson for somebody.
Yeah.
And it's, again, it's all about how it's marketed, because you would think of it like $50 for a lesson. It's like you would basically use it as an opportunity to do a consultation and an evaluation, and you would get paid $50. By the way, there'd be a lot of people that would probably buy it from you and never even cash it in, which is like the reason that gift cards work so well, and why, stores like Target and Amazon and every company sells them, is because they just know a percentage of people pay for them and then never use them, which is like the greatest business tactic of all time. But beyond that, like, even if somebody does take you up on it, it's like, hey, my wife bought this $50 voucher for a free or for the first dog training lesson, right? You bring them in, and it's really just an opportunity to sell them on a larger dog training program. And yeah, you're going to give them some advice and tips and tricks, but you already do that during all your consultations, evaluations anyway. I want to say this too. Like, a couple months ago now, we did a full episode on lead magnets. And lead magnets are very, very common in the digital marketing world. We have them, and I try and add a lot of value to them and give a lot of really valuable information away from them. We have another one coming out pretty soon that I think is going to be pretty cool. But, a lead magnet doesn't need to be a PDF. It doesn't need to be a checklist. A lead magnet can be just an invite to come to a pack walk or a group class that you run for free. And this is what great marketers do really well, is they realize that it's a long game. It's not about just the low-hanging fruit of who submitted a contact form today or who placed a phone call to me today. It's about creative ways to build out your funnel and your pipeline and get more people opting into something, so you can build some trust, i.e., talk with them on the pack walk, give them some valuable information to help them. And then once you've done that, yeah, there's going to be some people who take that information, they run with it, and they're like, cool, I don't need a trainer now. But that's really not that likely. Most people are going to be like, this person was awesome. Angel was so helpful in, helping with the leash pulling. I'm still dealing with these other issues. I want to talk to her about getting my dog trained.
Yeah. And you mentioned something a couple weeks ago, I want to say. I don't know if it was regarding like one of our clients or what it was, but it was like where someone does kind of like a Black Friday sort of deal, like during the summertime. I don't know if it was an idea that you brought up or someone that you talked to who does it. But yeah, it was something like that where, again, in the summertime, they had like this big deal where if you book for like November and December, for example, you get like X amount of dollars off or a certain percentage off. And that was their way of like getting ahead of the holiday chaos, which I think that's a really good idea. I mean, I always talk to people too about just like thinking ahead of time instead of waiting until, the beginning of November or pretty much in the time that we're in now to start like trying to change up what you're doing for your leads or start panicking because people like aren't wanting to buy right now. Think ahead a couple of months. And obviously, we're already in December, can't really do that now, but it's just good to think ahead. But I talked to someone recently about doing like a Christmas in July kind of thing. So I think that would be a really good idea come summertime because that is a used phrase, So doing like a Christmas in July kind of thing, book ahead into November and December or something like that, and you save a ton of money. But yeah, I think it's super important to think that much ahead. I mean, like you were talking about earlier, I think talking about like Amazon or something like that, like they do that kind of stuff. They have these huge sales and like Prime Day and Black Friday deals and all that kind of stuff, but it's planned so far ahead. And what I also think is important too is like you already know this time of year is going to be a little bit on the slower end or maybe require a little bit more work to get people to actually buy. So I think it is a good learning process. The second week of November, things start slowing down. Okay, next year, let's go ahead and start the sale at the beginning of October or something like that. I'm just kind of using it like a continuous case study every single year and just get more and more ahead of the game.
Yeah, it's really hard to compete with the girl or guy entrepreneur who's thinking 6 months ahead of time, who's thinking a year ahead of time, who's thinking, 5 years ahead of time. This is what great leaders, great entrepreneurs, dynasties of countries and stuff like that. Like they don't think in terms of like, what does it look like today? How am I feeling today? They think of what do I want entity to look like in 10 years? What do I want it to look like in 50 years? What do I want it to look like in 100 years? Like what kind of legacy am I leaving behind? I won't be here, but I still want this to continue on without me. And, if you just think about it on a day-to-day basis, that's what most people are doing. And that's how you let your emotions dictate what you do and feel like, well, business is no good. I'm slow and I had a good day and I'm happy because I had a good day. And now I'm depressed because I had a bad day. It's like you have to get outside of that way of thinking and think of it in terms of what do I want? What kind of growth do I want in 6 months from now? What do I want next year to look like? So like you said, like there's still things you can do for Christmas this year. Like what I would tell you is if you have some free time today, go and text every single lead that you have about a new holiday program and how if you opt in now, you get a discount. That's something super simple that you can get out this afternoon. But as far as marketing goes, like it takes a little bit longer to plan more like strategic stuff. So start focusing on the messaging being around 2026 and starting the year off with like, a well-trained dog and stuff like that. I just think if you start doing that now, you'll put yourself in a way better position and look to launch something that is going to really benefit you throughout the year of 2026. And I really think for everybody, if you're slow and you have time, you're going to trade one of two things to grow your business. You're either going to trade time to grow your business, and that's going to be like grassroots marketing, like you running pack walks, group classes, going and demoing at Home Depot or walking into vets offices and introducing yourself and all that stuff. Or you're going to trade time or you're going to trade money to make more money. So like running paid ads, which personally, I think you should do both. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased being the owner of a digital marketing agency, but the point is, you should be doing all the above. And if you have free time, I hope that at least one person gets some value out of this. It's not a waste of time, and people are not taking advantage of your time by you answering questions for free during a pack walk or a group class. It's the same concept as like when people say to me, I don't want to do consultations for free because I got to get paid for my time. You do. You do get paid for your time, but you get paid in the long term. Yeah, you're not getting paid in that immediate instant gratification type of transaction where I get a call, I charge them for a consultation, they pay me $150, and then I go get paid more money when they buy the program. You're getting paid just in the longer term where it's easier to get more people in for consults because there's no friction added there where they need to pay you for your time when they don't know you yet. And this is just the same thing. It's like, yeah, you may run a group class and nobody buys anything from you. But if you do that week over week, month over month, you will start seeing people. And we have clients, like one of our clients, Bethany. I'll have to have her on here again sometime to talk about like the group class and the pack walk she runs. It's like a literal cult. People like see her everywhere. There's people that show up to volunteer and help for free. And I'm sure you would ask her and she would probably tell you, not to put words in her mouth, but it was probably difficult in the beginning. There probably weren't as many people showing up. So if you just keep doing it and running an offer like that, I think that's a really good thing. And now is a good time to launch it. Just say something like in your marketing, like I'm feeling, it's a season of giving. I'm in a joyous mood and want to give something away. Come join our completely free pack walk or group class that we normally charge for, but I just want to help as many people and dog owners as I possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are really good ideas. And I want to touch on, I know we have to wrap it up in a second, but I just wanted to touch on the whole thing you mentioned with just like sending out text to people is with a lot of our clients, I've been helping with creating like a kind of like a double offer kind of re-engagement thing. So where they have two offers in the same text essentially. So normally it's, holiday special, 10% off, blah, blah, blah. But we're putting two offers in there. So the first one being, and this is like more specifically for people who are still taking dogs through the holidays. But for example, it would be like save 10% off if you sign up before December 1st. Or save 15% off if you book ahead into 2026. So it's kind of helping with like getting them dogs now or like during the holiday time if they still have a few spots open, but also kind of jumping ahead and making sure that they're starting to book themselves out for the new year. And at the same time, like, we're having 2 offers for people, so it's like you have an offer now that you can take advantage of. You can save even more money by, still holding off if you need to after, like, traveling for the holidays and, getting over, like, the holiday chaos and stuff like that. Seems to be helpful. And then the second thing I wanna say is I know that some people can be a little hesitant about doing those texts that send out to people because maybe they've done it one time in the past and they didn't have success, or maybe it only brought on one person. So, to that, I want to say it takes very little effort to send out, especially if you're having it set up as an automation. You set it up as an automation, it's handled for you. All you're having to do is respond if someone actually says, "Yes, I want to take advantage of this." So I don't think it's really hurting anything. But the second thing is, like, you're not going to get a bunch of people to buy just from one offer. Like, maybe it'll take a few, and then you might have one offer where a bunch of people jump onto it. We have one of our clients who I, I wouldn't say he's historically been like hesitant about doing re engagement offers, but just hasn't gotten that much or that many people from them. But this one holiday one that he ran, I think he's gotten close to like 20 people, like older clients that have decided to actually sign up. So
That's insane. Yeah.
it is very insane. So yeah, I mean, this offer might not bring in a whole lot of people now. It might bring in one person, maybe the next person you bring in 0, the next one could bring in 20, who knows? But yeah, little effort, and it's not hurting anything by keeping your name and all of these special offers in people's hands, basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll just just to kind of piggyback on that, and then we can wrap up because I know you and I both have to run to our next call here. But yeah, it's very easy to draw a conclusion in business. Like I did that and it didn't work. I'll just speak for myself because I don't want to speak negatively or anything like that about anybody else. So I'm totally speaking about Kevin Byram here and Top Dog Advertising. Okay, I've done that, and I've been like, I'm not gonna do that again because it didn't work. It's like, yeah, dude, it didn't work because you sucked at it and it wasn't good. Like that's why it didn't work. It's like the first ad I ever launched, it didn't work. You know why? Because it was a really bad ad. The copy was horrible. The creative was not that gripping. So if you do something and it doesn't work, and you find yourself saying like, "Hey, text message marketing doesn't work," or email marketing, I tried that, it doesn't work. It's like it's just the way you were doing it. It's just the way you were doing it. It's as simple as that. Stuff like text message marketing and email marketing still has the greatest return on investment for any type of marketing campaign by and large across any industry. If you can look this up, it's like it's still the best ROI. Super low cost, doesn't cost a lot of money to send out emails. It's an easy way to get in front of somebody and make them an offer. So text message marketing is no different. So if something didn't work in the past, like you tried launching a group class and it didn't work, or a pack walk, or you tried running a different campaign, it didn't work, do not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just have the assumption of I may have not been able to pull it off at that point just because I didn't have the knowledge I needed or that was required to make it work. And I just got to figure out how to make it work.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap it up here for the day. We have some other calls that we got to run to, but as always, we appreciate you guys. I hope you're getting some value out of these podcast episodes. We got some really exciting guests lined up for coming for the next couple months here. So I know you guys are going to get a lot of value out of that and hearing other trainers and stuff like that. So with that being said, we're going to wrap it up here for the day, and we will see you guys all very soon in the next one. See you guys.